Take out your phone. Hold it in your hand. Imagine it vibrating. That tiny buzz? It is not magic, Babu. It is chemistry. It is a microscopic magnet made of an element called neodymium. Without it, no vibration. Your phone's speakers go dead. Fighter jets lose critical systems. Wind turbines stop spinning completely. Today, we look at the 17 invisible elements running the planet. And who controls them? That is the terrifying part. Namaskar. Welcome to Curious Minds podcast. I am Baidyanath Jha. I teach high school chemistry here in Patna. Young students often ask me, "Sir, why do you look at everything through chemical formulas?" Because, Babu, chemistry strips away the advertising. It strips away the marketing. It tells you exactly what the universe is made of. And today, we are going to audit the global clean energy economy using that exact whiteboard lens. Listen to me carefully. The whole world is shouting right now. Green transition! Electric vehicles! Save the planet! Now, pay attention. I am not against electric cars. It is not like I am sitting here complaining about them just because a high school teacher's salary cannot buy a fancy imported EV. No. Simple logic is there. Look at the facts. According to official data from the International Energy Agency, a single electric car requires approximately 6 times the mineral inputs of a standard petrol-powered vehicle. 6 times. Most of that weight is just lithium, nickel, and copper sitting inside the heavy battery pack. But the real magic, the component that actually converts electricity into kinetic motion and spins your wheels with such terrifying power, that is a permanent magnet motor. And that motor runs on rare earth elements. You think you are driving a clean software-driven computer on wheels. Are bhaiya, you're actually driving a highly refined pile of geopolitical dirt. And for this dirt, the world's largest economies are playing a high-stakes game of chess. So what is the fight about? We call them the rare earth elements. Look at the periodic table on the wall behind me. See those 2 rows sleeping at the very bottom like backbenchers who don't want to answer questions. The lanthanides, 17 metals, elements like praseodymium, neodymium, and dysprosium. But rare earth elements are not actually rare. Go to your village right now. Dig up a handful of dark soil. You're likely holding trace amounts of these elements in your palm right this second. They are as abundant in the earth's crust as copper, zinc, or lead, finding them in big, profitable, highly concentrated chunks. That is what is rare. But here is the real secret. Why did the United States and Europe stop producing them decades ago? Did they run out of rocks? No, they did not. They stopped because refining these minerals is an absolute environmental nightmare. Understand this with a simple everyday example. You make tea in the morning. How do you separate the liquid tea from the leaves? You use a simple strainer. Physical separation is done. But rare earth elements, they are trapped inside rock matrices, and chemically, they behave almost exactly like each other. It is like taking a bucket of fine white salt and a bucket of fine white sugar, mixing them together completely, and then trying to separate them grain by grain. Can you use a simple strainer? No, you cannot. To force these elements apart, you have to smash the rocks into powder. Then bathe that powder in massive boiling vats of toxic chemical acids. It is a violent, repetitive, liquid solvent extraction process. And the byproduct? millions of gallons of highly radioactive wastewater and heavy metal sludge. In the late 1980s and 90s, the Western economies looked at this toxic pollution, folded their hands, and said, "Nah, namaste. We will not ruin our domestic rivers. Let us outsource this dirty work to someone else." And who took the job? China. Today, it does not matter if America mines the rocks, or Australia mines the rocks, or India mines the rocks. Mainstream data from the US Geological Survey confirms that over 80% of the entire world's rare earth refining capacity sits firmly inside China. But listen to me closely, students. They did not just take the pollution because they wanted a dirty backyard. No. They played a highly strategic 30-year game of industrial chess. While the West was busy building internet apps and financial derivatives, Beijing was heavily subsidizing metallurgical research labs. In 1992, their leader Deng explicitly stated to his inner circle, "The Middle East has oil, China has rare earths." They did not steal this advantage, Babu. They earned it through long-term planning. They mastered the complex industrial chemistry, they locked up the patents, and they built a monopoly on the global intellectual property. Suppose a non-Chinese mine digs up rare earth oxide powder today. Do you know what happens? They still have to ship that powder to Chinese facilities to be melted into metallic alloys and shaped into industrial magnets. China controls around 90% of the actual permanent magnet manufacturing market. They don't just filter the raw tea, Babu. They own the only industrial bakery on earth that knows how to bake the final cake. Coming to India, how are we securing our future? India actually possesses the fifth largest reserves of rare earth elements on the entire planet. Down south, along the coastal stretches of Kerala and Odisha, our beach sands are completely saturated with a mineral called monazite. Monazite is a prime source of heavy rare earths. And do you know who controls that sand? Not a private multinational corporation. It is controlled by Indian Rare Earths Limited, which reports directly to our Department of Atomic Energy. Why the Atomic Department? Because that exact same beach sand contains high levels of radioactive thorium and uranium. We are literally sitting on a strategic gold mine. Yet, our domestic manufacturing units still import almost all of our finished rare earth permanent magnets. Why? Because we chose the easier, cheaper path, importing the finished product instead of building the chemical refineries. Everyone wanted the clean, shiny smartphone, but nobody wanted to build the acidic processing plant. We handed the keys of our 21st century supply chains to Beijing. And now, we have a permanent magnetic chokehold around our necks. If Beijing decides tomorrow morning to cut off the export of refined neodymium, global advanced vehicle manufacturing hits a concrete wall. But as your teacher, I cannot let you leave this room with just numbers and corporate strategies in your notebooks. We must look closely at the direct human impact of this extraction. Come with me to a place called Baotou. It is a sprawling industrial city sitting in China's Inner Mongolia region. It is the undisputed rare earth capital of the world. On the outer edge of this city, there is a massive man-made lake. But there is zero water here, Babu. No fish are swimming. It is a vast, toxic, radioactive tailings reservoir filled entirely with black chemical slurry piped directly from nearby refining plants. It smells heavily of sulfuric acid and burnt chemicals. For decades, Local agricultural communities living near the perimeter of the Baotou tailing dams have reported that their clay soils are ruined, their livestock fall ill, and their own families suffer from severe respiratory and bone diseases due to acid mist and groundwater contamination. This is the great material paradox, students. You want to save the atmosphere from carbon emissions. Very good. But you must open your eyes and look at the physical ledger. We are trying to build a clean, green, high-tech future. But the physical foundation of that future is currently buried in radioactive mud. You cannot build a clean world without dirty hands. The real question we must ask is, whose hands are we using? And here is the true geopolitical kicker. Beijing knows this costs. They are not sleeping. Right now, they are spending billions of dollars to enforce strict environmental laws, shut down highly polluting artisanal mines, and consolidate production into state-run mega corporations. Why? Because they are cleaning up their chemistry. Soon, they won't just control the market because they are cheap. They will control the cleanest version of rare earth refining on Earth. And if the rest of the world wants to compete, we will still be trying to figure out the basic environmental licenses while they own the green standard. So what do? Do we just accept this dependency and close our textbooks? Never. In Bihar, we have a very famous traditional proverb, Bhoj ke ber, kohra ropal. It means you are trying to plant a pumpkin seed in the ground on the exact day the grand wedding feast has already started. The green transition feast has already started across the world. And now the West and India are suddenly panicking, trying to plant infrastructure seeds at the last minute. But better late than never. Parents and legacy builders listening to this, the investment map of the world is completely shifting. India is actively fighting back. We are restructuring IRL to boost domestic extraction. And look at the news. Babu, February 2026. India just signed a massive critical minerals partnership with Brazil. Why Brazil? Because they hold massive, globally significant rare earth reserves. And get this, nearly 70% of their deposits are completely unexplored, just sleeping under the ground. India is not just looking to buy raw materials this time. No, the agreement explicitly states we are partnering across the entire value chain from initial exploration to mining, chemical processing, refining, and industrial recycling. We are diversifying our inputs to completely bypass the single country chokehold. But understand the structural asymmetry, students. In our democratic system, getting environmental clearances, navigating land acquisitions, handling court cases, managing local protests, it takes an average of 10 to 15 years to bring a new chemical refinery online. China can deploy state capital and build it in 2. We are not just behind in terms of factories. We are decades behind in human capital. This is where you come into the equation. You sitting there in Patna, in Kota, in Delhi, listen to me. You are not late. This material crisis is just getting started. Your generation has been told that career growth only means sitting in an air-conditioned room, staring at a laptop, and writing code for an app. Boo! But if everyone writes code, who is going to build the physical reality? Tell me, boys and girls. We desperately need brilliant chemical engineers. We need metallurgists who can optimize solvent extraction without creating toxic tailings dams. We need material scientists who can design permanent magnets using alternative elements. Look at the market indicators. Automakers like Tesla are already spending millions to re-engineer their next generation drive units to use zero rare earths purely to break out of this geopolitical trap. This is a multi-billion-dollar industrial problem. It is waiting for your brain to solve it. The next 20 years of global sovereignty will belong to the nations that master the physical layer of chemistry. Students, we cannot keep pretending that our digital, wireless, cloud-based lives float smoothly in the air. The cloud is not an abstract concept. The cloud is a massive concrete server farm sitting on the ground, drawing power through copper wires, running on hardware, refined from stone. Everything I have laid out on the board today is based directly on peer-reviewed geological reports and international supply chain metrics. If you have a different perspective or if you see a flaw in my chemical logic, no problem. Let me know your thoughts. I read them all carefully. Taking honest feedback and sharpening my understanding every single day, that is my DNA as an educator. Next time you hold your smartphone and it vibrates in your palm, that is not just a notification. That is chemistry, Babu. That is geopolitics. And that is power. I am Baidyanath Jha, and this is Curious Minds Podcast. Stay curious, stay sharp, keep studying hard. Before you leave the class, Babu, one small favor. Don't worry, it costs 0 rupees. It takes exactly 2 seconds. Just leave a rating for this episode. No need to write a big essay. Just one tap. Why? Because this algorithm, it is a machine. It only understands numbers. Your one tap tells the machine, show this to another curious student. You are not just rating a podcast. You are passing a good book to the next person. That is all from my side.